I think we're live. We're back here on the Inland Marine Insights podcast. I am here at IMX with Mr. Data Owen. Data, thanks for coming on the show. You are with the Universal Strategy Group, correct?
I am.
And your title there, you are the
Director of Cyber and Technology.
Awesome. Would you mind kind of giving our listeners just kind of a quick background on what you guys do there?
Sure. So Universal Strategy Group primarily works with federal customers doing personnel services, but we've recently expanded into the cyber domain, and that's where I come in.
Yeah.
So we do cybersecurity, and we have customers in the federal and state governments. My background is I'm a retired Air Force.
Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And I was a cyber warfare officer, and I've done cyber both offense and defense, and I've worked with the National Security Agency. I've worked with all of our Five Eyes partners.
Wow.
I've done real-world operations against air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace targets.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would qualify myself as one of those advanced persistent threats, but as a recovering nation-state actor,
Yeah.
I like to think I bring something to the fight.
Man, absolutely. I would like to think so too. Just off that quick resume that you ran down there, that's pretty impressive. And we were kind of talking before the show. We're here at IMX really just highlighting kind of the people and ideas that are really innovating the future of the maritime transportation space, and really, obviously, cybersecurity is one of those. Cybersecurity obviously is touching so many sectors, if not every sector in today's world. But yeah, I'd kind of be curious to get your thoughts on what you guys are seeing specifically in the maritime space, like some of the common challenges with cybersecurity and maybe how you're working with companies to solve those.
Absolutely. So let's just start with this. Every company today, every organization today is an IT organization, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not. Every single one is. And you go, well, hold on a second. I do fill in the blank with whatever the thing is. Cool. Okay. It's neat that you think that you're not a cyber or an IT organization, but you are, because if we turn off the power, if we turn off the internet, what portions of your business cease to function?
Absolutely.
Does your revenue change? If it doesn't change when the internet goes down, if it went down for forever, would your business change? And if the answer is no, okay, fine, you're one of the few exceptions.
Yeah.
But my suspicion is pretty much everybody would suffer some sort of an impact.
Yeah.
My guess is that they bank online.
Yep.
So even at that level, still an IT organization.
Yeah.
But chances are their logistics chain, their supply chain, all of that stuff relies on it. Think about whenever a storm comes through, right? So I've lived on Guam, I've lived on Hawaii, I've lived in the Philippines, I've lived in England, all island locations. When a big storm comes in, there is a rush on stuff in the stores because people know the supply chain is just in time. Mm-hmm. For instance, there was a time on Guam when you could not get concrete on the island at any price.
Oh my gosh.
Because the one ship that delivered concrete was a mile offshore and the engines were broken and it couldn't dock.
Yeah.
And was it a cyber thing? No. But it's still a supply chain thing.
Sure.
And whether it's a casualty because you have a broken engine, or whether it's a casualty because someone cybered your engine, or whatever else, it doesn't matter because the concrete's still not there.
Yeah. No, it's obviously kind of a new space and a new challenge. I was joking with my team. We're a healthcare organization at heart, and we like to think everything's patient focused and patient centered, but if our internet goes down for an hour, there's a problem.
You're still an IT organization, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And so what's the common challenge? What are some of the challenges that we're seeing? Honestly, it's ships and boats, depending on what size we're talking about, they are also IT organizations. Mm-hmm. And you go, but hold on, my vessel was commissioned back in 1980 something. Well, guess what? It's still running ancient tech. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you probably still have, if you're ocean going, you've got an ECDIS or some sort of navigational system, right? Yeah. Guess what? It's a computer. Unless you're going to get out your sextant and paper charts, cool, good on you.
Yeah.
It's good to have a backup, but chances are it's automated to some degree. Chances are your engines have some sort of management system on them. Mm-hmm. Chances are, a lot of the other stuff has management stuff because that way you can have less crew, right?
Sure.
So at the end of the day, one of the big challenges that I see is that you have what amounts to a very small town worth of floating operational technology. I keep pointing at
Yeah, we have a boat behind us here. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that all the systems on there run on old OT, and I say operational technology, so the same stuff that your utilities use, so water, power, gas. It's all regulated using the exact same tech. We just put it on a boat.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those things were designed in the 60s, 70s, and you go, well, what about the new stuff? Vessel was commissioned yesterday. It has the newest stuff. Cool. Chances are and I'm not throwing shade at any particular vendor here.
Sure.
But I'm picking on Siemens because if you look at CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities for operational technology, Siemens far and away has the largest number of vulnerabilities in their stuff, and that's discovered this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like more than one a month. And we're not talking about like low, we're talking on a scale of 0 to 10, we're talking 7+, 10 being bad.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not picking on Siemens, it's just they have the most, and that it's fact, not shade. Right?
Well, sure, and if we're sitting here discussing it openly, I mean, there's obviously threat actors out there that are monitoring these known vulnerabilities, yeah. I would imagine, and looking for a payday, like with ransomware and these I don't know the proper term, but where we're seeing more and more almost every day in the news. It seems like an industry or a well-known company is being shut down and held hostage for against these threat actors to get their systems back up and running. And with a $1 trillion logistics industry, it's probably only a matter of time before that connection's made, if it hasn't already been made.
At least $6 billion a year goes up and down the Mississippi.
Sure.
And then if you expand that to all surface logistics worldwide, 70% of the world's economy is afloat.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. So opportunity there to be exploited,
yeah,
surely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the threat actors listening to this are like, yeah, I'm on board. Look at all that money.
Exactly.
So that leads to the inevitable question of what can I do, right? I run a tug company, right? I have a tug. It's me and my spouse, and that's it. It's the two of us.
Yeah.
What can I do? I don't have an IT department. I can barely spell IT on the best of days.
Yeah.
And the OT, forget it, right?
Yeah.
Well, so there are a couple things that you can do. And obviously this applies to the larger organizations as well, but they probably have a few more resources at their disposal.
Sure.
So I'm focusing on the mom and pop ones because we all know it's small business that helps run our economy. Mm-hmm. So let's start with them, and the big guys can figure it out too.
Yep.
So for the moms and pops, cool. So let's start with, there are a number of resources, especially free resources,
okay, that
are out there. So if you look at CISA, they have a free scanning thing that you can go and you can sign up on their site and say, hey, I want to, and not a paid endorsement, to be fair,
yep.
Or to be clear, I don't work for CISA, but they offer free resources to do self-evaluations. They do free scanning to say, hey, what's exposed to the internet?
Yeah.
And is a clean bill of health from the free scanning service, is that something that guarantees that you're invulnerable? No, but it's a good first step.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, how do I put it gently? If you don't check yourself for odd lumps, the cancer will surprise you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So it's better to find it early.
Yeah.
As a former Red Team member and founding member of another Red Team, I can say that it is far better to have the Red Team discover a thing for you before
Absolutely.
you have the bad guys discover it for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So. No, man, I love it. I love it. It's this is, it's an interesting subject. It's, I think it's something that certain industries are light years ahead of other industries on navigating because they're forced to. You think about the banking industries, etc. Like they're forced to navigate and solutions and be compliant with a lot of this stuff.
And thinking about banking, right? So 2013. The banking industry, there were about 30 U.S. banks that came under, I don't know if you remember this, they came under distributed denial of service attack.
Okay.
So to put it in perspective, a DDoS is where you have hundreds of thousands of agents that are just dumping garbage data.
Just swarming.
It's a denial of service attack by just dogpiling on these things. So the amount of data that was being pushed at these banks was was 70 gig a second. To put that in perspective, that's a 90-minute DVD being downloaded 8 times per second for 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Every second.
Oh my gosh.
That's how much data was being pushed at these. And per month, it was about $125 million of lost revenue for the banks. And that is just from their public-facing websites, the sites that you and I go to do our banking. That wasn't the back-end stuff that handles ACHs or anything else.
Yeah.
So if that's what a nation-state actor, or a threat actor, excuse me, because you can rent a botnet now to do this.
Yeah.
If that's what an actor with some resources can do to the banking sector, who literally has all the money, then I can see the mom and pops going, what chance do I stand?
Sure.
Because a lot of times it's not going to be mom and pops that are necessarily being ransomware because they don't have all the money.
Yeah.
What they are is they're a pivot point, because if their logistics system integrates with their next layer up,
Springboard into
right?
it. Yeah.
It's called pivoting.
Okay.
So you remember those old spy movies where you bounce the phone call all over the world? Right?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's done digitally, and it's done through supply chain. If you remember Home Depot, for instance, a couple of years back, they got their corporate system was compromised through the HVAC.
Wow. Wow. Just how integrated everything is, right?
So if you think about it, like there's a shirt that we have at home. You remember the movie Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Say life finds a way.
Absolutely.
I have a shirt that says malware finds a way.
That's awesome. In a sad way, that's awesome, but
it's funny and sad and sad.
It's reality,
and funny.
yeah.
It is.
It's reality.
It's true.
Yeah, I think take-home message for me is, nobody's immune to this. If some of the largest, most tech-savvy industries in the world are facing those same problems that you described, it's only a matter of time before those threat actors find the same exploits within the maritime transportation industry. So I really appreciate. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Let me give you a couple of quick things. What can I do right now? Right?
Please.
So
please.
Let's talk. We already talked about CISA. If you have an incident, the FBI has a cyber crimes complaint center that you can contact, and they will also assist. For the maritime folks, the Coast Guard has resources as well.
Okay.
Each captain of the port has a designated cyber person, and they can link back into the larger cyber protection teams that the Coast Guard has. For you personally, what can you do? So I know AI is everywhere today. One suggestion is actually go and have a conversation with a couple of different AIs and say, hey, this is the sort of setup that I have right now. Help educate me on what I should be doing to do this for my network.
Good point.
I strongly recommend things like segmenting your network. So the systems that you use to do business should never be able to talk with the systems you use to run your vessels. So the systems that you use to make your vessels navigate should only talk with the systems that they need to talk with. I've been on vessels where I could talk to the engines, I could talk to the rudder, I could talk to the bilge, I could talk to fire suppression, I could talk to all sorts of stuff, all from the same device. And while that makes it easy, remember at the end of the day, convenience and security are opposing forces. And it's not that we're trying to make it difficult for you, we're trying to make it difficult for the bad guys. And at the end of the day, it's defense in depth is how you're supposed to go. So think of a castle. You've got a moat, you've got a wall, you've got a keep, and the point of the defenses is not to be an absolute barrier like a Maginot line that stops everything. The idea is that with defense in depth, one of those is going to trip, and you'll see an alert, which means you can catch the bad guys before they can do bad things. And so if you go in with that mindset, you control the territory that you're fighting on. You have all the advantages. They just have to screw up once, and you can catch them.
Man, I love it. I love it. That's a great analogy. I've never really thought of it kind of in that capacity. That's awesome. I like it. Parting words for our listeners out here today. Obviously, cybersecurity is a significant threat, significant challenge for all industries, not just the marine industry. Would love, how can folks kind of connect with you and your team if they wanted to learn more about, what you guys got going on, or maybe, plug in for utilizing you guys for your services?
Absolutely. So if you want to protect OT, if you want to protect IT, that's my department. We are the only authorized vendor for state and federal entities for a product called Shepherd. that literally makes your network disappear. When I was originally brought on board, my job was to be a professional skeptic and to prove that Shepard was snake oil. My conclusion is that if I were a threat actor and I came up against this, I would initially be like, dude, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
There's no network here, yet the network is working perfectly fine, which sounds impossible,
Yeah.
but it makes it possible. That's why it's patented.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with us, you can find me on LinkedIn. Search for Data, D-A-T-A,
Okay.
Owen. And yes, it's Data like Star Trek.
Yeah.
Thank you, Air Force. You're the best. So feel free to hunt me down that way. Shoot me a message, and we'll get you hooked up with the right people to help make your IT and OT awesome.
Great. Well, Data, thanks for coming on the show today. It was exciting to chat with you. I hope you have a great rest of your IMX show experience, and I'm excited to share this with our listeners.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.